Welcome back to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. Improving the business climate in Delaware. Recently, there was a Delaware Business Roundtable that came up with a growth agenda for Delaware, and to talk about that is Bob Perkins with the Delaware Business Roundtable. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So give me some of the highlights of what you're recommending.
Sure. The Roundtable is a consortium of 50 of the biggest companies in Delaware. They employ over 75,000 Delawareans, and we think and feel very strongly that we need to put Delaware back on a growth agenda. You know, the recession took a lot out of Delaware, lost lots of jobs, lots of manufacturing jobs and good paying jobs. So we want to get that growth back. This framework basically says we have three goals we need to work toward. One is to create an entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem in Delaware, something that will take advantage of the growth in high-tech jobs that's coming along nationwide. Secondly, to reset, take a new approach to the way we do economic development to make sure we are competitive with other states. And third, to take a variety of steps to improve the business climate in Delaware. Delaware's always been seen as a very pro-business state, a good state in which for businesses to locate. There have been many changes over the years. We want to make sure we don't lose that benefit.
To incubate or to even seed some of these high-tech jobs that you see, or high-tech businesses, that starts with education and teaching code and teaching software engineering. Is that happening?
It is happening to a certain extent. Delaware is certainly not without some of the benefits of that. In fact, there's a private school just started up called Zip Code Wilmington, which is churning out very quickly, within a few months, employees who are capable of writing code and going for jobs at banks and things of that nature.
Have we relied too much in the past on, did we become stagnant, did we become complacent because of NBNA and because of DuPont and big companies at the top making sure everything was okay?
Well, Delaware, as you know, Larry, Delaware's had a history of having large companies. As a matter of fact, Delaware, someone told me, well, gosh, Bob, Delaware is very innovative. Why would you say we need more innovation? Well, the innovation that we've had in the past came from those large companies. It came from DuPont's experimental station, where they invented Kevlar and nylon. It came from labs at AstraZeneca, where they developed and researched multi-billion-dollar drugs that help people across the world. But now, that kind of innovation, with the departure of some of those companies, or those companies as a result of globalization becoming smaller, what you have is more of an organic growth, a need for organic growth, to seed some of these companies, to try to help entrepreneurs and to try to move them forward. And so job growth across the nation in this region, and we think in Delaware, will be in that area in the future.
I know that there's different reasons for the companies leaving Delaware or not coming to Delaware. Right. Is there a common thread, however? Is there something you can say, we have to change this so the companies will stay here or come here?
Yeah, I think there are two things I'd say, Larry. First, I'd say you always have to look at your cost of business and cost of doing business. That's true for small startups as it is for very large multinational corporations. The second thing I'd say is, as you look at how you retain and how you attract businesses to Delaware and any size companies, you have to make sure that you have the right people in the mix trying to make those decisions. And so one of the most important recommendations of this framework and growth agenda is to try to change the way we approach economic development. If you look at the states, Indiana, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, that came out of the recession the fastest, they all have resources, natural or otherwise, that Delaware doesn't have. Not all of them. They all have resources, though, that are different than Delaware. The other thing that they do have in common, however, is they have a public-private sector governance board for their state economic development authority. That means that the business community, other stakeholders, and government officials are sitting together to make sure they are involved in that decision-making and how they invest in companies to get them to retain.
Is that happening in Delaware?
That does not happen in Delaware. The Delaware Economic Development Office is a strictly government-run entity. And so this report proposes that we try to make that a public-private partnership to gain the benefit that those other stakeholders bring to that discussion.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks very much for your help.
I appreciate it. Bob Perkins from the Delaware Business Roundtable. When we come back, keeping your child safe when he or she is sleeping, when the Delaware Way continues.